Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Moses Ssebandeke. He is a director, comedian, writer, producer. Stop me because boy, I just read your bio and I was like, I didn't know this much. So what else can you add to that?
Like with me, I always say that I'm kind of like creatively agnostic. So my kind of thing of like, I might have like an idea and I'm thinking like, how would this idea best be kind of communicated via film or spoken word piece or through comedy or through anything that involves kind of like writing and the visual arts. I'm about kind of like working within that arena really. So that's what I kind of like say for myself. So I just say I'm creatively agnostic and try to work within various different art forms essentially.
I would say that's the best way to describe you, from what I see online and what I've seen your work. So thanks for coming on the show, Moses. And funny enough,
I'm like pumped to be here.
Yeah, this is our first time meeting each other actually as well. Yeah. Even though I did see you, I think I saw you on the train once on the Victoria line, but then I was like, I think that's you, but I don't want to be that person to be like, wait, are you Moses? And they're looking at me like, I don't know, who are you? I'm not Moses. So I was like, let me
No, for real. I like live on the Victoria line because that's where I work. I work in Islington. My day job is working at the London Screen Academy, which is like a film school that was set up by the biggest producers in the UK. So working title, I think Barbara Broccoli, who does the James Bond films and the Harry Potter producer as well. They set up this sixth form in like beforehand, but it opened up in 2019 to get kind of like young people into the film industry. They wanted to get people from all different kind of like backgrounds because we will both know honestly the film industry tends to have one type of person in there. So they wanted to kind of open it up to have someone from like maybe a quote unquote kind of like black background or from a working class background. So the school's completely free, but the kind of like film education someone there gets is film school level. I went to the National Film and Television School, and some of the equipment they have there is on the same level as a postgrad film school that charges you like 10 to 40 grand a year. This one's completely free for 16 and 19 year old. And I work in that school, so it's on the Victoria line, so I always use that every single day. So it most likely was me.
It probably was you, but I just wanted to be safe because you never want to just have those awkward moments with a stranger like that. So I was like, it's all good, So
for real.
I feel like we've been following each other on social media for a very long time. I'm surprised we've never like run into each other at events or stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't remember how I saw your work, if you saw mine. I don't even remember. Like, do you?
It's because I was trying to get into like the web series role, so I was following loads of people who were within that arena, and so I just followed you from that. So I saw your work from that thing and really admired it. You know what I mean? Because I just admire people who literally just get up and do that. They take the driving seat of their career. Because I just know a lot of people, and I try to help them as well, but. They're talented, but they want things to fall in their lap.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
And I think in the film industry, especially if you... I'm going to be completely honest here. Not born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And things won't fall in your lap. So you have to be proactive. Like I always say, like some people make things happen. Some people let things happen to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So... I think it's about making things happen. I just admire people who do that. So I see you just like bringing stuff out all the time, just doing it off your own back. I'm like, that's
you too. Because I mean, you've been doing this since 2007. So how old are you?
Because I'm 30. I'm gonna be 31. I don't know when you're gonna release this, but 31 at the end of September.
Oh, okay.
So I've been basically doing it half my life.
Okay, because I'm just like, wait, you look young. So like, Because when you sent me your bio, I was like 2007. Like damn.
2007. I started young. I started young because I was at this thing called YCTV.
Okay.
It was a organization that was set up in Ladbroke Grove, and loads of kind of like big kind of like filmmakers had come from that place. Like, so for example, someone called Luke Himes, who created the not created, but was the main director on the Dubplate drama series back in the day. And I think he's like works in the YouTube world, but I saw that he did stuff there. So because I was a big fan of Dubplate drama, so as a young kid I went to the YCTV kind of place, and that was like basically like a youth club that brought you into like the film industry. Basically, if you were like just a young kid from like a inner city estate, they took you to the BBCs, the Channel 4s. They gave you a chance to do your own TV shows that would get broadcasted on like community television channels at such a young age. So yeah, I owe everything to that organization, which unfortunately closed down. But yeah, YCTV, and I went there in like 2007. So that's why I mark my genesis within the industry. Yeah.
Wow. So that's essentially how you got started.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good. So from your beginnings in 2007 to now 2022 as somebody who is, I just feel like you're a multi-hyphenate because I see so much what you do. You're a writer, director, producer. Then I've seen you do like comedy shows. Weren't you on like Sky Arts program? And then you have a film festival. Like, I feel like there's so much to unpack, but we won't have enough time. So like, give us like a rundown about what you do and how you've got to where you are now.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I'm all about storytelling. You know what I mean? Storytelling. So, how I get kind of that story out, it's like I'm not kind of like chained to that delivery. You know what I mean? So if it's through like a film, I'll do it that way. Or if I feel that story works best within like a comedy piece, I'll do it that way, or spoken word piece, or musical piece, that way. Or like, and at the same time as well, I'm like liking other people's stories as well. So for the film festival that I did earlier this year, was called the Lions 2 Film Festival. It's named after like the company that I have with Janelle Rowe, who's one of my childhood friends who have been like known since I was 10, and he's also a fantastic filmmaker as well. And I'm helping him produce his first feature as well, called Spectrum. So we were doing that over the summer. So we did that film festival to kind of raise money for that film as well. So yeah, that film festival took place in Liverpool Street, and I've done so many things with big companies, but that was one of the most stressful things that I tried to kind of like set up. Yeah, because I think have you worked in like film festival kind of curation and setup and stuff?
Not really. I mean, I've done award shows and I've done here and there, but events management is a whole different ballgame to filmmaking. So So
I don't know if I'll do it ever again, but I will. Maybe I'll bring some people on board to kind of like be organizing that, because it was like so many kind of like wheels that I had to kind of make sure that were working for the film festival to be success, which it was a success, but it was kind of like stressful because we had various different venues, and the venues fell through, and I would have to go check up on the venue, and then when we were doing the film festival, there were some technical difficulties that happened as well, which I had discussed with the venue beforehand, but they hadn't sorted out. You know what I mean? So it was like various different kind of like craziness that happened on the night. But no, it was a success in the end of it, like luckily, and we were able to make profit for us to kind of like bring some money into that feature film that Janelle's trying to make. So it was a definite success.
So tell us more about the films that you've done, because you've done a film called Patient 4318, which was screened across the UK TV screens and also in LA back in 2015. So what was that film about?
Okay, so that film was a really kind of like interesting thing, and it was I almost say it was like a turning point within my career, because so essentially around that time I was doing this thing called the BBC apprenticeship. So I had started on the BBC apprenticeship in 2013, and that was that kind of like to basically give you the skills to become like a BBC producer, basically. So I was working up various different kind of like departments within the BBC. So one of the first departments that I worked in was within BBC Comedy. So I was working within a section where they were doing this thing called the BBC New Comedy Award. So I was helping kind of like recruit more diverse applicants for that award, but also film the promo for that kind of award as well. And then after that, I had an opportunity to work at BBC Radio 1 and 1 Extra as well. I had been an intern with them before in the beginning of 2013, but then they brought me back in end of like 2014 to 2015. And that was like a really, really great experience as well, because I got to work within the visual department of BBC Radio 1 and 1 Extra. And around that time, they were kind of going really hard on trying to get their YouTube kind of like interaction up and stuff like that. So I got to, and like around that time as well, it's one of those ones where it was like serendipity, because I was working at Radio 1 and 1 Extra. And I think 2014 and 2015 was when kind of like black music really went international, like grime.
Yes, so I remember it was just a boom.
It was a big boom, yeah. So Stormzy was coming out at that time.
Yes.
Skepta was coming out at the time. Section Boys, which I think they're called Smoke Boys now, but Section Boys were doing their thing. Like loads and loads of artists were really kind of like actually being taken seriously by the mainstream.
Yeah.
So I was getting to experience that kind of like renaissance when I was at Radio 1, and it was a really, really great time. So I got to do like a kind of like futuristic interactive documentary with Stormzy, where Stormzy went to Ghana, where his family's from for the first time, and I went with other artists as well. So it was these artists called Dr. Fades and J Fades, which are producers, and Jojo Abbott, which is a big kind of like Afrofuturist artist as well. And the whole documentary was like an interactive documentary where you could choose which artist you wanted to go with and follow their journey. So I don't know if you remember those pick your own journey Goosebump books.
No.
I
remember Goosebumps, but I don't remember that.
But they had like a version where you could like say, oh, go to chapter 2 if you want to fight the monster, or if you want to run away, go to chapter 5.
Yeah, I must have missed that.
I know. I was a Goosebump fanatic, so I went those crazy nerdy books, and so I came up with the idea of doing a video version of that.
Wow,
so yeah, basically, so if you wanted to, it stops and says like, oh, if you want to follow Stormzy for his journey, you go that way. If you want to follow Jojo Abbott for her journey, you go that way, and stuff like that. So that was like a really, really good thing. But then I felt that because I was doing so much work for the BBC, and a lot of times when you do those kind of work, it's good, but your name is not put on the content.
Yeah.
So BBC gets all the credit for it, but you really don't. So it's not really helpful in trying to develop you as an artist or develop your brand name.
Yeah.
So I said like, okay, I've gotten this money from the BBC and stuff like that. I'm just going to splurge it all on trying to do a big kind of like short film. In hindsight, I could have thought like, oh, I could have saved that to put a deposit on a house or something. But,
we're creatives. We're not thinking like
that.
Yeah,
exactly.
We need the money for the film. Okay? The film.
No,
to make no money back.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, 100%. I splurged all that money on that short film, but that short film connected on a big level, you know what I mean. So it did good on the festival run.
Great.
And a TV channel liked it as well, so they kind of like broadcasted it on its kind of like prime time mainstream kind of like level. And it opened up doors for me to work on other kind of like things as well. I even got like an interview to possibly direct a episode of Doctors.
Wow.
But I that was one thing as well. I wanted to kind of like, whoever's listening to this as well, when you get an opportunity like that, do everything you need to do your research. You know what I mean? Because the mistake I made with that, I got a bit arrogant. I got an opportunity for that, but I didn't do my research because I didn't watch Doctors.
Okay.
So when I was doing that interview, the interview was doing all good, and then one of the producers said, "Oh yeah, what's your favorite character?"
Oh,
I didn't know any of the characters' names, but
look, I'm sorry, yeah, but that's on you, cause
I don't watch Doctors. That's like in the middle of the day, isn't it?
Oh, so come no. You had this interview in the 2010s, right?
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me that you couldn't go on iPlayer?
No, yeah, you're right.
Like, please, listen carefully. That's really good advice, because you know what? Yeah, serve you right. I'm sorry.
100%,
yeah.
No, the way you should have been that interview, but when he said that, I just said, oh, my favorite character is the black one, and that's and I thought that would be good enough. And they just they wrote something. I think they just said a big no. Yeah. So I flopped that interview, man. So that's one of my regrets, because I could have directed an episode of Doctors if I came correct. My research became correct. So so if you have big opportunities like that, do your research beforehand.
Yeah.
Watch, you haven't watched it before, watch 10 episodes. Watch a whole season. You can binge. Yeah, watch a whole season.
Yeah.
I didn't do my proper research. So when they asked me kind of intimate details about Doctors, which you need to know as a director for an episode, which is obvious, learn it. So I didn't get that job. So yeah, but I think stuff like that is good, because you kind of learn from it. And then when I've done it again, I was able to correct it and make sure I come correct on next opportunities and stuff like that. But no, Patient was a really, really big kind of thing, and people still kind of talk to me about it now, because essentially it's a film about a girl going through mental health problems, but we do it in a very kind of surreal, kind of almost experimental filmmaking way, where she gets to kind of look at her old memories and ask if she wants to delete them or keep them. And then that's kind of I feel that's a philosophical kind of lesson, because it's you have a lot of kind of we all have bad memories that kind of sometimes traumatize us, but they do mold who we are, you know what I mean, sometimes. And I think if you do delete them, you are coming at the risk of doing those mistakes again, or going through those mistakes again. So I sometimes think these memories are bad, they can be traumatic, but sometimes it might be good to keep them, so you can kind of be quote unquote better person as you go on. So that was the kind of thesis of that film. But
that sounds good. Definitely. So from that, you then went on to be able to get your script, Mary's Room, shortlisted through the Creative England, and then you was able to develop it with BFI. What was that like, that whole process?
Oh my days, that was another process where that's such a good question to bring up, because it's I think it's good to talk about these kind of heartbreaks that you have with the filmmaking kind of process, that when you become a filmmaker, you're gonna inevitably come across. So the Mary's Room thing was a script that I wrote, where it was all about Mary Seacole, but it was also about a homage to Black British nurses. My mom's a nurse. She's worked as a nurse for 25 years and stuff like that. So I kind of being brought up on a nurse's wage, I know the NHS quite well, and how kind of quote unquote badly treated kind of nurses are. So I wanted to make a film that was a homage to that. So I wrote that script, and I got to go through that whole Creative England, and it was an initiative called Short Flicks, where it was they were going to give £10,000 to 5 filmmakers and then screen their films on Sky Arts and whatnot. And so it's like everything that a filmmaker would go through. So you would go for the pitching kind of session. I went through that. I pitched to the main producers for that. I went through to another kind of section, which was a residential development stage. So I went to Birmingham, kind of hotel with I think 20 or 30 other filmmakers. It might not be that much, but it might be a bit less. And we all kind of was in that residential place for 3-4 days, and we were developing ideas. Other filmmakers came in, talked to our ideas, and kind of we watched other short films as well. It was great, and I met so many great filmmakers there that I still talk to this day. This was back in 2017. And then after that, we had mentorship, and then we got to pitch our films again to Sky producers, head of Creative England, head of Sky Arts and stuff like that. and they said we're going to choose the final 5 people who are going to get their films commissioned and stuff like that. And my films weren't one of them. Mm-hmm. So why I say that story was like, that's kind of like a good thing to let you know that that's kind of like the film industry where you go for rigorous kind of like various development stages.
Yeah.
And it's almost kind of like you get to a point where it's almost there. You can even touch it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're there. They take you to Sky and everything, and you even meet, and they even smile in your face and say like, "Oh yeah, we can't wait to see you again, Moses." And then you don't get it and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that is inevitability, you know what I mean? And I think sometimes people, like I've known people, that kind of breaks them, you know what I mean? Because luckily that whole process was only like at most 6 months. I know people, that whole entire process is 4 years, 4 or 5 years of their life where BBC or Channel 4 have strung them along for 4 or 5 years of their life for a development thing, taking them to like read through level. They're meeting producers. Some people have gone to filmed pilot level and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I know. Like,
I know, for real.
Listen.
Yeah. And I'm like really and truly like spending, God knows how much money, like 6 figures. Some people 7 figures.
Waiting on that invoice.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and you're telling family members your thing's gonna be this and that, and you don't get it.
Yeah.
Like I know there's obviously worse things that's happening in the world, you know what I mean, and at the end of the day, these are first world problems, but we have to be honest, it can sometimes be damaging on mental health, you know what I mean. But and I know some people have quit and said like, I'm not doing this film thing anymore, I'm gonna go into another industry because
100%. I totally understand.
You can't take this. But I still think it's like, this is something where you have to keep on going, you know what I mean. Because there's a myriad of reasons why maybe your thing wasn't chosen. It's not necessarily on you. It's like, is your idea part of the current zeitgeist? Is
exactly.
Is it kind of be profitable in like China? You know what I mean? There's some things you can't control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's definitely you don't take it personal. Don't hold grudges against those companies like Creative England. I still put that in my bio because Creative England, I went through that whole thing, but it helped develop it to a level where BFI took it seriously. And I went through the same thing with the BFI and I developed it again and I didn't get it. But that also helped it kind of like get to a point where it was such a high level that when I made it myself, I made it with my own money, the film came out great. You know what I mean? And then it got screened at BAFTA and then it went through like the festival run, and then even like 5 years later, people still kind of say like, that film was such a hard-hitting film, it's incredible and stuff like that. So I think it's really, really important to have these development things, and sometimes you just don't get it, you know what I mean? It's one of those things, you know, because I've been on both sides as well. I've worked in development at the BBC where I've had to be the bad guy. So like now, after doing that, where I was working on that thing of like, I'm working with you and we're developing something, working on that side of things, I kind of understand where these people are. These people ain't evil. These people ain't kind of like, they say they don't want the China like, some people do want to destroy it, but like they don't want to, they don't, or everyone wants to take you out. It's like sometimes, like I said, it's various different reasons which has nothing to do with you, that where it's not probably the best place for it to be made right now. No,
you raised some really good points because people don't understand the industry on that level, and like you said, essentially it's first world problems. But look, we put blood, sweat and tears, we're creatives, like these are our children, like these projects. So when you can taste it and you're getting shut down, and you said twice and you still didn't get it through, you know, that's hard. And it's a lot of rejection within this industry, especially when it's that level. It probably stings a bit more, and
it does,
and then you go through so many hoops as well. And I totally understand. Look, this year's my kind of break as well because I'm so burnt out from film. So I just don't want to make anything. Like I feel like I have PTSD because like last year I did so many projects, and then I'm tired, and I'm still tired. Like I haven't shot anything since. Regardless of freelance work, like independent stuff, haven't done nothing this year.
Wow, serious?
No. Yeah, nothing.
I mean, what is it, because of that whole development thing or stuff?
It's more so because it's not even the development stage. It's just to get it from script to screen. So just the whole rigmarole of trying to fund your projects, and then when you actually get the money or the little bit of money that you have, and then the stress to make the project. You know, and then, you know, refraining from slapping people up because they're getting on your nerves. Like, there's so much what goes into it. So that's what I'm just I'm tired. So that's kind of like the difference. And I like how you were trying to develop a story about Mary Seacole, because she's such an important figure within Black British history.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how she was so... The history of her is so interesting because she was celebrated, you know, in the 1800s. And then when she died, it just was like... Okay, she just kind of went away until she was kind of like rediscovered in the 1980s, and people realized like, oh, who's this Black woman who was being, you know, celebrated. And I like that you were pushing more so about Black Britishness, because too much when we're talking about Black stories, especially like with Black History Month coming up next month, you know, there's always the lack of Black British history. It's more so about African American history, like 100%. Just everywhere else. It's like, yes, Black history is universal, but when we're within the UK, like, we should be talking about Black Britishness. And
100%.
Yeah, it's great that you were just trying to push that, because I feel like Mary Seacole's story needs to be a feature film. I don't understand why that's not.
They're apparently making a feature film.
I saw that announcement, but like we said with this industry, things are announced, okay, and then you don't know, and then all of a sudden it's like it's been put on the shelf and we never hear about it, so we don't know. Like, that was announced a while ago.
Yes, it was. I think is it Google Bethel Wall? I think she was the one. Yeah.
So and I'll be very intrigued to see what her Jamaican accent is going to be, especially because I am a Jamaican descendant as well. So so it'll be very interesting, because you need to get that right. So that's one thing I would definitely want to just praise you on, because I really just love where Black British filmmakers are pushing Black Britishness, because we need to do that. And that's why I feel like sometimes the representations of us gets lost within other people's cultures, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think it also it takes away self-esteem, and I think that's why a lot of times you get kind of like actors and filmmakers running off to America, because they think it's not really possible to do it here, which I'm like in two minds as well, you know what I mean? Is it possible to do it here? But
it's hard, because I feel like you were saying before, about when you get to that stage and your idea is not picked, doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It's because of what's the market is. Yeah. It's always about the market. That's what I'm always trying to tell to other writers who are pitching me ideas and stuff. I'm like, look at the market. What's being commissioned right now? What can you change about your script? When I talk to all of my friends who work in development, and I say, okay, if you as people of color, what can we do to actually get through? They're telling me it has to be completely out there. Like, it cannot be the same basic, you know, plot line like everything else out there. You have to go above and beyond. Yes, some people will say, why do we have to? We live in this country. Think about it. Like, that's what we have to do. So essentially, we have to kind of go above and beyond to be able to get in those rooms.
I know, 100%. So, like, I've done like 10 short films, I think. 10 or 12 short films. And some of them good, some of them bad. But that's what I kind of like tell people, because like, especially with the young people I work with as well, they will do like 1 or 2 short films, and then they're trying to say like, I can't understand why I'm not on BBC Three yet and stuff like that. And I'm saying, like, some people, it's lucky for them, they can do 1 or 2 and then they're getting commissioned by BBC Film. Like, even someone who I was with on Short Flicks thing, like, she's about to release her feature film on BBC Films. But like it's different for some people, you know what I mean? Some people have to do 10, some people have to do 1 or 2. It's various different kind of like mechanisms at work, you know what I mean?
Yes, because like sometimes I do see that. I see like people on Twitter and they're like, oh yes, this was my first film and look where I am now. And then sometimes you second guess yourself, because like you were saying about mental health, it's really about always that the comparison you're doing to other people, where okay, I've been putting in work, and I know I'm not rubbish, but how comes you're there? And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, okay, he's so and so, and I'm black, so I'm like, okay, so I need to remember, okay, this is why as well. Yeah, and some people who will probably throw back to me and say, well, I know this black filmmaker had the same career trajectory. I'm like, yes, that can be true, but that's just one of few. That's
exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
So some people are like, especially with black filmmakers, they can be quote unquote anointed. Yeah. So like they will say like, okay, that's gonna be our guy who we're going to pop up. You know what I mean? And I think that's all for like some people hate them and stuff like that. But I feel like we're all trying to make it in this industry, you know what I mean? So if you are anointed and stuff like that, I say take that chance, man, and I don't blame you for taking
opening
the chance.
some magic door for other people. So we're just trying to get through.
Exactly.
So after Mary's Room, you then went on to do 2 plays. This is why I say you're multi-hyphenate. You went on to do 2 plays, and then you also went on to do a film called Instagram, which also won Best African Diaspora Film at the 23rd African Film Awards, and then went on to do your first feature film in 2020. So what was that whole process like, moving on from making Mary's Room to making your first feature?
So with Instagram, that holds kind of like a very close to my heart because so after Mary's Room I had done that, but you know, with me I'm always want to get better, you know what I mean, and develop my skills. Because I think that's what you need to do as a filmmaker. So I went and decided to use Mary's Room to get into like the National Film and Television School, which is like the main big film school here in the UK. I think like it's already been seen as one of the top film schools in Hollywood Reporter, like for the 12th year in a row or something like that. So it's super hard to get into. I've tried like 3 times before to get into there.
Wow.
Like twice the application they said no. Then the 3rd time I went to the interview level and actually met the kind of person who interviewed me, and then he said no, and then I tried the 4th time. And then I finally got in.
Oh, congrats.
And stuff like that.
See, at first you don't succeed. Try
exactly.
again.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, maybe they don't want me to tell people this, but you have to pay the application.
What?
Yeah. That's for filming. I don't know if they do it now. They might have changed it, but when I was doing it, they charge you for sending in an application form. Which,
how much?
Like when I did it, was like 70 quid. 70 quid. Yeah. They charge. That's a bit weird, isn't it? You know what I mean? I know. I hope the NFTS.
No, it's fine.
but yeah, so I got in the 4th time. And it was on the course for writing and producing, and so I was doing that course, and Instagram was the graduation film of that course. So they gave a little kind of like bit of the budget as well, but I didn't think it was adequate, so I added a bit of my own money in there as well. And I done that, and that's kind of like being something which it was also kind of polarizing as well. So my film school teacher didn't really like it, but it was liked by kind of like people who were working at heads of channels, heads of comedy and stuff like that. So they had liked it. So it was one of those ones where it was kind of like the first time where I did something that was really kind of like polarizing. And so that was like an interesting kind of aspect as well. But I got to screen that at Channel 4, and then it got screened in kind of LA as well, and it won some awards out there. It was kind of helpful. But then I got to that point where like at that point I had been doing short films for 10 years. So
it gets tired.
It gets tired, you know what I mean? It's really good for development of skills, and I'll completely do it again, because I think doing short films is a really, really, really good way to develop you as a filmmaker. Like I spent so much money on film school, but I don't think you necessarily need to go there. I think just do the short films and spend money on that. But like when I was in lockdown with my brother, and that allowed for a lot of self-reflection, and I thought like, okay, this is almost like a book ending of like a certain thing. Now I want to kind of like, and it was 2020 as well, it was a new decade. I said I want to transition to a new period in my filmmaking kind of career. I said, let's just try to do a lockdown feature. I'd seen people doing it online, doing it around the world. And I said like, okay, we ordered some equipment through Fat Llama, which is a really good place to kind of like order a load of equipment like last minute as well, if you don't want to go through the craziness of the kind of like kit houses. And yeah, so it was literally me and my brother, two people in the house, and we kind of just like quote unquote freestyled this feature film. We just improvised it. Yeah, and I think that was one of my favorite filmmaking experiences, because we did it over like 5 days, 12, 14-hour days, really, and stuff like that. Like, we would start sometimes in 5 a.m. and then finish at 2 a.m. in the morning and stuff like that. Yeah, but
no.
but it was like literally me and my brother. We would sometimes, he would sometimes be sound, I'll sometimes be in it, I'll sometimes be. We were just experiencing. I thought it freed up the filmmaking process. You know what I mean, and just really created something that was unique. You know what I mean, and yeah, so and that kind of like got a really good reaction. I had really good feedback from someone who was the head of acquisitions at Curzon and stuff like that. So it was a really, really fun experience doing that feature film. It's called Dreptomania, and it's only 40 minutes, but I saw somewhere where BFI said like the minimum for a feature film is 40 minutes. So I said like, yeah.
Really?
yeah. For some reason, yeah. So I said like...
No, I see that, because when I'm looking at film submissions, like anything over half an hour, they're like, that's a feature film.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I can understand, because like, because especially with short films, that means you're killing out the possibility of like 4 or 5 filmmakers to bring their things in. So they said, so that 40 minutes. So I said like, yeah, we'll film this and just like bring it up to YouTube and just keep it moving. You know what I mean? And I think it was really good, because like I don't know how you were like with lockdown, but like most of the days we weren't doing anything, so it was a good kind of like, for that month we could like do something and be creative and really get into that. And it was a really good experience.
Nice. Well, I mean, I have loads of respect for people who do a feature film independently on that level, because I could not do that. I just
wouldn't you say, because you do web series, wouldn't you say that's kind of like a feature film? Because like when you do like 4 or 5 episodes,
essentially it is,
and then you could bring it together.
No. But it is the same kind of like, it takes a toll on you the same type of way, I would imagine, because I did 4 web series. Wow. So yeah, never again. But yeah, so I mean, it is the same. You raise a good point. It is the same in terms of the amount of work that you put in, the amount of actors and crew and locations and planning what goes into it. So I've never thought of it like that, but that's a good point.
Because I directed 1 episode of a web series called Silverback.
Oh yes. I interviewed Tam a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to that coming out.
Oh I love Tam. I love Tam, man. Yeah, he brought me on for 1 episode of Silverback. So about like seeing all the stuff, because Adibu was also a producer in that as well. How stressed they are. It felt like a feature film level, even though obviously it's cut between 10-minute episodes.
Exactly. So what else do you have coming up?
So it's that Silverback. That was like a big kind of like really great experience as well, working with those guys, Adib and Tam. And I have a film out now called Double Booked. So that film is about basically one person is trying to book a Airbnb for him to propose to his girlfriend, but that same Airbnb is being used as like a safe house for like a girl who's just done a heist.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he's booked it for an Airbnb, and she wants it as a safe house for a heist. They're in the same place. It's like a 1 location film. And shenanigans ensue, essentially. That's out now. That's out now. That's like another thing where because working at London Screen Academy, I've been privileged being able to kind of like work with their equipment. So when I was doing the annual leave during the summer, because the kids are not there, I booked out the equipment and decided to say, like, let's try to make a 1 location film.
Why not?
We did that over 1 week. That kind of film production could be like a film in itself, because so many things, crazy things happen. Like I was supposed to film in one Airbnb. We had audio equipment there, like literally, it's crazy. One like almost like $100,000 worth of equipment in like a Hackney estate, and the Airbnb person ghosted us.
Oh,
like
wow.
I was emailing them, calling them. I don't know where they were. Like they weren't picking up. I was trying to message them on Airbnb. I had to call the Airbnb headquarters.
Wow.
And they said we can't get in contact with us. So we were literally out there for hours in the hot
Wow.
August sun in Hackney. Oh, sorry, in Hackney, and yeah. So we went to my friend's house in the end, and we filmed in there, and the film came out really, really good. And we had like the first screen at the film festival earlier in July.
Amazing.
And that was a good reaction. So double booked. That's out on YouTube now. Just type in double booked, and yeah, you can watch it there. So
And you see that scenario, what you just said, is why I said have PTSD. Because I'm tired of things like that happening. So that's why I need other people's money to
Yeah.
be able to get it
what
completed.
did it happen to you as well? Like,
I've just had loads of situations like that before, and I
Wow.
just I can't.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. See,
we both had Naomi. Naomi was in,
Yes, Naomi. Yeah, she was
She's
in
my film.
Talia Versus as well. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did see
yeah.
her in that as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's
a
really
great
cool.
actress and singer as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So where can people find you to follow you on like social media and your previous work?
So I'm all over social media. I'm on Instagram under Mozzie. That's my childhood name. So it's MOZZIE _ Ssebandeke, which is SSEBANDEKE. Same on Twitter. I'm also on TikTok as well. I know I'm 30 years old, but I'm all over TikTok.
Listen,
Like,
I'm on TikTok too. I'm a vlogger, so it's all
yeah,
good.
well, TikTok, the algorithm is crazy. Like I've been getting like millions of views on there on some
wow.
videos.
Wow.
It's helped massively with my filmmaking thing. Like it got me like 500,000 likes. I did like one sketch that went crazy on like other kind of platforms as well.
That's really good.
So I think if you're creative, if you're a filmmaker, it's not just a dancing app. I just thought it was a dancing app, and I went on there, and it's helped massively in loads of things as well. It's even got me meetings as well with like big kind of like people in the industry as well. So yeah, if you're creative and you want to demonstrate your things, get on TikTok. As long as the algorithm's good, it might change after this, but yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks again, Moses, for coming on the show. It was great chatting to you and meeting you for the first time in
100%,
person.
man, 100%,
And
man.
thanks, guys, for listening. You can follow me all my user socials. You know them. There's a bunch of them. Stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.